Rachel Zegler has had some likability issues as an actress, but now to make things worse, she's being trashed by Keanu Reeves fans. In 2022, Rachel Zegler was offered the chance to be in the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but she actually turned it down. The reason was at the time Rachel Zegler was filming the Snow White movie, and she didn't want to do another movie where she'd have to film in Europe and stay away from her boyfriend and family. The studio actually really wanted Rachel Zegler to be in the movie, so they made a creative solution that's to offer her boyfriend Josh Rivera a chance to do a role as well for the movie so they could be together during filming. The movie was released where it was considered profitable, making $349 million on a budget of $100 million. But even though that was considered a success, it was considered a fairly weak performance for a Hunger Games movie because the first one made $695 million on a budget of $78 million. Still, for Rachel Zegler, this was a big deal because her previous biggest movie was West Side Story, which was a musical, so this was trying to break into the concept of her being an action star, and she made the claim that she did 95% of her own stunts. While Rachel Zegler managed to do the marketing for Hunger Games without much controversy, she did get a lot of controversy during the awards season during the People's Choice Awards when she won the award for Best Action Star. This caused a massive anger from Keanu Reeves fans because that year he also did an action movie, which was John Wick 4, which was more successful than Hunger Games, making $440 million on a budget of $100 million. For Keanu Reeves' history as an action movie actor has been going on for over 30 years, where his first really successful action movie was Speed in 1994 with Sandra Bullock, which made $351 million on a budget of $37 million. And because of that success, Fox actually wanted to make a sequel to Speed, and they offered Keanu Reeves $12 million to return, which would have been his biggest payday ever at the time. But Keanu Reeves turned down the $12 million, saying the screenplay for Speed 2 wasn't very good, and instead he wanted to do a play in Canada, and he was 100% right because the movie ended up a massive failure, making $164 million on a budget of $160 million, and it was also a critical failure, getting just a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. Turning Speed 2 down, he earned some respect from his co-star Sandra Bullock, and because of that, that was actually the reason he was put in The Matrix. Because in 1997, the Wachowski siblings offered Will Smith a chance to be in the movie The Matrix when they just had a screenplay, but he turned it down to do the movie Wild Wild West instead. Which was a huge mistake because Wild Wild West only made $220 million on a budget of $160 million, got a 16% Rotten Tomatoes. Then they offered the role of Neo in The Matrix to Brad Pitt, who said yes, but then turned it down, saying he was too tired from doing the movie 7 years in Tibet. Leonardo DiCaprio was also offered the role of Neo in The Matrix and did say yes, but then later turned it down, saying he was sick of green screen after Titanic. Finally, Sandra Bullock was offered the chance to play Neo in The Matrix, saying they wanted to do a female Neo instead, but she turned it down and recommended Keanu Reeves for the part, which they said yes to. The Matrix was one of the most difficult roles of Keanu Reeves' career, where he did have to learn martial arts and do 90% of his own stunts, but the beauty was they paid him $15 million up front. And then because of back-end deals with the trilogy off bonus points he ended up making $200 million total off the franchise, being the highest paid actor for a trilogy ever. And he made so much money off The Matrix that he actually gave back $70 million to the special effects crew, saying each one of them deserved $1 million bonus. But then after Matrix, Keanu Reeves ran an issue where he had a series of poor-performing movies like Constantine, which made $230 million on a budget of $100 million, which actually lost money after marketing. And then Keanu Reeves had the biggest flop of his career with 47 Ronin, which cost $225 million to make, but only made $152 million, meaning it lost $125 million. Because that studios thought Keanu Reeves was a dud actor now, and they didn't want to finance the movie, so John Wick was frozen in production for 6 months. The only reason it got saved was Eva Longoria stepped in to become a producer, where she put in $6 million and got part of the franchise in return. That was definitely a really solid investment because the first one cost $25 million to make but made $86 million, and the franchise has so far made $1 billion and growing. And now entering John Wick 4, Keanu Reeves did have a stunt double, but he still did 90% of his own stunts, which involved driving fast cars, motorcycles, and many other scenes while he was in his late 50s. And going back to Rachel Zegler in Hunger Games, it doesn't make much sense she won Best Action Star because she was in a green screen room for the entire time and her scenes weren't that difficult stunt-wise. Rachel Zegler has built a lot of hate due to her handling of the Snow White movie, where many people came out against her because she actually lied saying she was a huge fan of Snow White. That was proven false because in an earlier interview from a year prior, she said she only watched Snow White once as a kid and didn't really like it. She also went after the core story, saying that it wouldn't be a princess who gets saved by a man, and she wouldn't be serving the 7 dwarfs, but instead they'd be serving her, and a lot of people just didn't like the changes. Then Rachel Zegler also went after her co-star Andrew Burnham, who was playing a version of the prince, where she said the prince from the original was a creepy stalker, and Andrew Burnham's part might get cut entirely from the movie. So because of that, many people have accused the studio behind Hunger Games to actually rig the People's Choice Awards using bot accounts to vote for Rachel Zegler over Keanu Reeves, Tom Cruise, and other actors. That actually doesn't seem likely the reason. Instead, it's actually social media, where Keanu Reeves doesn't have an Instagram account while Rachel Zegler does with 2 million followers, and she did actually ask people to vote for her in the People's Choice Awards. There were other people nominated for that award like Tom Cruise, who has a much larger social media following than Rachel Zegler did, but Tom Cruise didn't push for that award or ask people to vote for him. At the same time, the Hunger Games franchise did push for support as well, where they have 19 million followers on Facebook alone, many more on Twitter and Instagram, and because of that, Rachel Zegler was given a huge advantage because they were the only studio pushing for that award. But still, it all seems unfair that they were able to do this because the real winner of that award show shouldn't have been either Rachel Zegler or Keanu Reeves, but actually Tom Cruise, who did so many stunts for Mission Impossible, including driving a motorcycle off of a freaking cliff. Still, this is all a very weird thing that happened and proof the award shows are kind of BS, and with that, I'm Charles Peralta. Please subscribe if you learned something.